want to get to some criticism of James Harden from one of his former coaches. NBA TV airing their open court series tonight, and James Harden's former coach Kevin McHale on the panel. Here's a preview that has been released to the masses. McHale being very critical of his former superstar's leadership ability. The quote is, "James can see all the passes, do everything, but James is not a leader. He tried being a leader last year and doing that stuff. I think Chris Paul is going to help him do that stuff and just get back to just hooping and playing. Look, if James tells you, Chuck," talking to Charles Barkley, "you've got to play better defense, are you going to listen to them? You're kidding me. I lived through it," Kevin McHale says. Everyone in the locker room just shook their head. Paul, what do you make of our Hall of Famer, Kevin McHale? That open court series is amazing, by the way.
Kevin's been around James, so he has the inside track on that. I don't know James as a leader in the locker room, but the one thing is your best player doesn't always have to be your leader. You know, I know you're given that based on your contract, based on you being the best player, but sometimes it's that guy who works the hardest in practice, has a voice, who's been in the trenches, and maybe not as a good a player as your best player, but he's a voice that people can listen to. So I have no problem with that. The good thing is Chris Paul is a leader. I've been around him for the last 2 years. So he can be that guy that can help James transform into that. So, you know, some guys aren't born leaders. Some guys learn to lead.
Do players, what he's essentially saying is if you don't play defense, you can't be a full leader. Is that true?
That's not fair. I mean, he is a talented guy. He's one of the best players in this league. So maybe he gives a better effort on the defensive end. Does that make you a leader? I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, leading comes by listening to your players, by leading by example. Once you have the confidence of your other players, then you can lead and they'll follow you. But if you come and you don't practice, you don't work hard, you don't show an example of diving on the floor, doing the defensive stuff, but you're preaching defense, it's hard to have people follow.
Have you ever privately rolled your eyes at another guy giving a speech in a locker room?
Oh, quite a bit.
Okay.
Quite
Has
a
it not
bit.
been private?
I won't say no names, though.
Not been private sometimes. I do think if you are being paid as much money as they gave him and the team is built only around you, as it was to the most part last year, the expectation is that you're a leader. But when you do bring in a Chris Paul, it can allow for that relationship you're talking
Without
about.
a doubt. Chris is a born leader, so that's going to help James in that department.
And I would say James Harden would probably argue that he is a leader. That's just Kevin McHale's opinion that he isn't, but interesting opinion considering Kevin coached him.